amino acids as a powder are cheaper per gram than a gram of whey concentrate or certainly a gram of whey isolate. So a lot of brands, in order to lower their price, were saying they were taking, let's say it's a 30-gram scoop of protein. And instead of putting 30 grams of whey concentrate, WPC 80 or WPI 90 or 93, which yields a certain amount of protein. To give you an example, WPC 80 on a 30-gram scoop of protein yields about 24 grams of protein. But companies that amino spike were saying, you know what? If we put 7 grams of aminos instead of 7 grams of whey protein, concentrate or isolate, we'll save 33% on cost of goods. And if somebody tests the product, it will nitrogen test as if it's real protein.
What's up, Whey King Nation? It's me again, Aris, and welcome to the Whey King Podcast. Today's podcast is very exciting as we have a special guest from Texas, United States. And we are so honored to introduce to you, Whey King Nation. Pero, si Nigel ang mag-introduce kasi siya yung mas nakakakilala sa ating special guest.
Yes, actually, it's a Whey King Nation. It's a great privilege to introduce to you one of our special guests in our podcast today. In Instagram CEO Soul, our good friend TJ Humphries. So mga audience niyan, palakpakan niyo naman dito.
Hey everybody.
Yeah, TJ is a 5-time muscle and fitness cover with over 30 articles. Don't ask the date. So I don't know.
It's when magazines were still popular.
Back in the day where magazines were still popular. But
right.
He's been a brand builder. He's the founder, one of the founders of ProSups. Mm-hmm. He has been investing in a lot of supplement brands on their back end. He has been a great friend, a consultant. He has been with Applied Nutrition for a good time. Then now he's invested early on with Rice. So as you know, we carry Rice. So yeah, Rice is one of the biggest big brands in the US right now,
yep.
as of to date.
That's right.
So yeah, he's heavily involved in terms of the international. So yeah, it's for me it's been a great privilege to speak with him in a special episode of Whey King Podcast. Yeah.
Thank you, Nigel.
Nice.
Thank you. Very happy to be here. It's been a long time. It's been since pre-COVID. Last time I was in the Philippines, it was probably a year before COVID hit. So.
Do you remember the last time you went here? Can you give us the Whey King Nation a good summary of just a quick background on the last time you visited Manila?
So last time I was here, we actually got to go up to, and I can't pronounce it, up into the mountains area there where I probably drank the most expensive cup of coffee that Starbucks has ever served. It seemed like it was expensive. That view was insane. Spent a bunch of time with you, with Bet, a lot of the employees, a lot of the staff. Whey King was smaller then than it is now, obviously. And we just had a great time. A couple days of riding scooters and hanging out and good dinners with good friends. It was great. Really good time.
This was when? How many years
It was probably, it was pre-COVID. So probably 2 years before, maybe 2018?
2018.
Yeah, 2018.
And since then, we are already carrying the Rice brand?
Since back in the day when TJ visited Manila, TJ and Ike actually.
Yeah.
They were still in ProSups.
Yeah, so ProSups
is
actually
also a Whey King brand till today.
Yeah.
That's what's been pretty exciting for me. I've been able to walk through the stores and see 3 brands that I've had intimate touch. You know, I've had a lot of success growing in those different brands, and it's nice to see Whey King carry all of those.
So Whey King Nation, if you're not familiar with ProSups, they are the brand makers of Mr. Hyde, Jekyll, Hydro BCAA, PS Isolate, Incredible. Majority of those products are from them.
That's right.
Yeah. TJ is heavily involved in that. That's his baby before.
No, without a doubt. Yeah, that we started that from scratch. Literally started that business with, I'll never forget, we went to, you're familiar with the Arnold Classic in the US, the Arnold Classic. It's one of 2 very prominent bodybuilding shows. We showed up there, me and probably 7 guys, all meathead dudes, all jacked up. We silk screened ProSups, they were called gas station shirts, but Dickie shirts. We silk screened our logo on the back and we literally walked the show with no products. We had a binder, a 3-ring binder with just product designs. We didn't even know really, we knew what we wanted to be, but we hadn't even launched a product at the time. But it was one of those really special moments where you kind of know early on, like, we're going to be successful no matter what. And we were. We had a really incredible, it's about a 5-year run where we grew exponentially. It's actually where I met Nigel for the first time at the Olympia. That was great. But yeah, it's and then from there, of course, I went from ProSups, sold that business to private equity, and then joined up with Nick Stella, who's the CEO of Rise. His story is amazing as well. I've been really lucky to be working with some super smart and super hardworking young entrepreneurs, and Rise is arguably the #1 brand in the U.S. So it's nice to be able to do business with friends, as we talked about, Nigel. And in the Philippine market, it's special because, you know, Whey King carries all the prominent brands that you'll see Whey King has. And for me to have actual kind of like, you know, responsibility in adding a couple of those brands to the Whey King family of products is special for me personally.
Okay, TJ. So there are a lot of questions, especially this one, on our Whey King community on how to select a brand
as a consumer.
As a consumer, yes.
Actually, one of the most asked questions to Whey King Nation. It's really one of the questions na laging tinatanong sa amin kasi sobrang dami, di ba? From different countries, from different areas, popping out every single. So yeah,
especially if you're a newbie or unfamiliar or even familiar people ask these questions. How do you choose a brand?
So this is a question even in the US. I mean, people think that people in the United States know everything about products, but the reality is there's a lot of people experienced or people new to the sports nutrition community that are really confused because there's so many brands, right? And the reality is, if you turn the products around, we all use a lot of the same ingredients. So you almost can't, there's some novel ingredients. For the most part, a pre-workout will have a lot of the common denominator ingredients. It'll have beta-alanine, citrulline, caffeine, right? Most of them have all of those anyway. So how do you pick a brand? I've always, and this goes even outside of sports nutrition, I look at the brand, meaning what does the brand stand for? And that's what I would advise any consumer to look at is what does the brand stand for? And you can find that in their social medias, you can find it on their website, because I think a lot of consumers want to connect with a brand based on what they're about, right? You know, there's some brands that are just based on performance. If you're a performance athlete, their social media or their website will speak to that. So you can identify more closely with that brand. And I would encourage a consumer that's confused to look at that brand. If you're more into community and you're more into different things around, like Rise, for instance, we're known as a brand that is specialized in flavor collaborations, right? Which is we've taken really iconic brands like Jell-O, like Kool-Aid, like Country Time Lemonade, and we've implemented their flavor systems into our product. So like that in and of itself is a differentiator. So, but I would say, like, to answer the question, if I was a consumer, I look at what the brand stands for first. That's what I would say.
Okay. So if I understand it properly, if I'm a consumer and I want to try your product, it will be based on my specific needs. If we are aligned.
That's right.
Actually, to be honest, basically, if my tip is, I always say that you have to check the people behind the brand.
For sure.
Because that's how you select, even if you select your life partner as well, right? You have to reflect on how they treat family, how they decide on small things. So it's
that's you being the CEO of Whey King when you look at how you onboard a brand.
Yeah,
right?
even if me, as you know, Whey King Nation, even pagkuha ng brand or working with a brand it also creates values, and I also look for values in terms of brands that we work with.
Right.
So my main tip basically on how to select a brand, as maybe if you're confused, is really you have to deeply check on how the brand invests on how they look, how they formulate the product, not really on freebies, not really on right. This guy knows his stuff, you know. Nakikita nyo, Whey King Nation, tumatawa na nga lang siya, di ba? So don't be fooled on cheap marketing that creates basically full of BS crap
Yeah.
that feeds you into full of merchandising stuff, you know.
Yeah,
So it's not-
freebies are nice. They're like nice to, extra things to have, but they certainly don't speak to the quality of a brand.
Yeah.
I think they're nice gifts to give, and really for a brand in a new market, we utilize those gifts as a way to not just, it's more so to help brand build, right? Because we know our products, every brand I've been involved with, our products have always been top notch.
Yeah.
We've always built great products built by reputable manufacturers, different athletes that we've, obviously invested in that speak to who we are as a community. But beyond that, the freebies are nice, but they're never used, at least by brands that I've been involved with, to devalue what the brands that I've been involved with has, the value that we've created,
Yeah, for sure. I think I think nag-agree tayo dyan, Aris, no? Because
Yes. Kasi freebies is part of marketing, is part of the business.
Right.
But if your brand is already
evolving.
top notch, right? Then freebies plus the quality of your brand. So what more can you ask for?
Right, exactly. And I would even say, like, we know since our products deliver, when people try them, if it's a choice of taking a shaker with a brand that's not well built, or not a freebie with a product that we've created that helps them get better, get leaner, get stronger, get faster, they're gonna throw the shaker in the trash. Like that's not even a choice to make.
It won't be a matter.
It's not even a choice to make.
Yeah, basically you don't sacrifice long-term goals for short-term plastic cups.
Right,
Yeah.
100%.
It's full of BS, right?
It is.
Yeah, but just to sum it all up, Whey King Nation, ang pinaka-tip talaga namin dito so we could how to select a brand is really more of, obviously with Whey King, syempre we are biased. But this is something that me and TJ, we are proud of because we've been good friends for how many years, and we would not have been good friends if we don't share the same values,
Commonalities, yeah.
and we don't want our ecosystem to be good. We don't want the because our main we talk about this a lot, right? Even on chat, right?
Yeah.
We want the fitness community people, whether it's different parts of the globe, to excel. We want
Right.
everyone to grow.
Without a doubt. And that's what's been, I think, special about our relationship is, when I was leading ProSups back when we first met, we had a lot of choices. Like we were ProSups back in 2014, 2015, 2016 was at the very top of its game.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of opportunities to partner with a variety of different partners. But like you said earlier, for us, the reason we started working together is I saw you valued the same things I value as a man, as a CEO,
Yeah.
as a father, as a husband. And that's who I've always chosen to partner with, because at the end of the day, if you align there, the rest is just so much easier. Growing a business just
Yeah, for
becomes
sure.
so much easier.
Way easier, right?
Way easier.
Okay, next one, TJ. This
Yeah.
is a more personal question.
Okay.
Not so personal.
Yeah,
but anyway.
I get you.
So what makes US brand different from other countries?
So that's a great question. I have been, as you guys know, I've traveled the world. I've been here now twice. I've seen international brands. I've seen European brands. Of course, being in the US, I've been involved in US brands, right? US brands, most successful US brands focus more on community, focus more on kind of the DNA of the brand versus just the product and the transactional value. What I've found in most European brands is it's very transactional, whereas US brands focus more on community build, brand build, and it's different because I think when people ask, why are US brands so successful globally? It's because the ones that are successful globally have invested in their message, their brand message, and their community. So that way, when a guy like me shows up, 10,000 miles away into the Philippines, and people have already heard about ProSups or Rise, it's because the community focus of US brands is so strong and it's global, right? You see it on TikTok, you see it on Instagram, all the social media platforms, you see it on YouTube. Most European brands, or even domestically made, maybe some Filipino brands here, focus more on transaction. So it's less quality sometimes because there's a more of a focus on dollars and cents versus long-term perspective, which is long-term success with brand building and community building.
Yeah, I think if you ask me on those, the main difference with US brands based on a Whey King perspective is really a bit of the backing up of science also. The good brands, because just so you know, even TJ knows this, that not a lot of there's also US brands that does the BS thing on supplements. I personally know it because I've turned down a lot of brands who want to work that has lots of BS on their products. But obviously the good brands like the ones we work with and the ones TJ's been part of are all great brands. Then they do not compromise on certain things. That's why as the topic a while ago, yung sinabi nga namin is the values. Because if you have proper values on you as a brand, you will not compromise the safety, quality.
Yeah, but
the supplement itself. You never do shortcuts.
Man, it is so important. And look, I didn't get into this industry. When I got into this industry, it was I was doing real estate in Colorado, and it was doing this. 1 month was good, 1 month was bad. But I got into it because the guy that invited me in to partner with him on a distributor business showed me how important it was to carry the right types of products for his brand. Like as a distributor, he's like, look, I'm only going to carry these products because long term, you might be able to make more money as a distributor or as a retailer carrying some products if they're giving you these deeply discounted rates and other things. But if they don't perform, if they don't live up to what their label says, if they don't deliver to the consumer what the consumer is expecting, whether it's flavor, whether it's performance, even ingredients, right? If you miss on those marks, it's a very short-term perspective, right?
Yeah.
And none of us, I mean, I've been in this business 20 years, and all 20 years have been focused on building relationships on the backbone of that kind of quality message, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the really main difference. Really working with the good brands also comes with working with good people.
Yeah.
Who you share with the same values. Actually, Whey King Nation, yun yung lagi kong sinasabi. Even that's why I strongly, even the previous podcast, that we also have topics that once you work with a company, you have not really on supplements alone, but once you work with certain types of businesses or people, you have to see it as a perspective that you check their values, the people behind the brand, the people who make decisions, because those are critical things on how your relationship will progress in the long run.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why a while ago, right, while we're eating, right, we do not sacrifice short-term BS for long-term goals. You know?
No,
we always look, you know.
You got to look down the road.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you'll find success.
Yeah, basically that's the main. How about you?
Alam mo, Nigel and TJ, the one thing that I notice nowadays is because of before we don't have any communication with the people behind the products, but now we have this opportunity to know more about them.
Yeah.
That's why they can say na the values and the quality are aligned because we are directly talking to the people behind it. So we are so lucky that we have this kind of opportunity.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. It gives me an opportunity, obviously being involved, ProSups originally and then with Rise, to be able, I've always loved going out into market and meeting people because, you know, as distributors, you guys are extensions of the brand.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of US brands miss that. You know, I think a lot of US brands, especially the ones that Nigel probably turns down, actually, I'm sure they're the ones Nigel turns down. It's very transactional. The problem with that is if my partner in market, like Whey King, if we don't connect on what the brand is about and Nigel doesn't believe in the core essence of the brand, it's not going to succeed in Whey King. So Nigel clearly brings on brands that he knows the owners, knows the partners, knows the brands, respects the brands, the brand message. And for me as a guy who has been involved with brands, I've almost insisted upon meeting every partner. There's some markets that I haven't met our partner just because they're remote in the middle of nowhere and it's hard to get to. But I've been almost insistent upon meeting every in-market partner just to make sure that partner and I are aligned with how any of the brands I've been involved with, how they sell the brand, because you guys exclusive distributors of Rise products and ProSubs products in the Philippines. So that's a tall order. I mean, most big brands that give exclusivity, they don't do it lightly. It's because of trust. It's because there's a lot of trust in what Whey King does, the message that Whey King brings the consumers, the training, the education, the things that we're doing here. This is very valuable stuff. And I'm just, like I said, I'm lucky that we're working in an environment like Whey King where you have those resources 10,000 miles away from headquarters,
Yeah, we really appreciate that, I think we as we say that, we've gone a long way, but we have a longer way to go.
Sure.
And the message that we want to the Filipino consumers as well is really clear. And even the US consumers, right? That we do not compromise on certain things. We want things to improve and no shortcuts and no BS for sure. Whey King Nation, now is the best time to ask TJ about this question because we want to hear it from them, because we've been sending this message about amino spiking. Amino spiking, if you don't know, in Tagalog is like dinadaya it's like you're putting shortcuts on the products and you're misleading consumers. In short, in Tagalog is kung ano yung nilagay mo sa label, you don't see that on the actual product. You don't see you don't really get what you put in. Yung ibang consumer, yung ibang brand nilalagay nila 30 grams, 27 grams. But there's a lot. That's why here in Whey King, we've been telling this for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago, that there's a lot involved to make it seem to have a high protein and low price. It's very, it sounds absurd and nakaka ano siya. We cannot tolerate this kind of activities in Whey King. So let's ask the man himself. As you know, he's been with several brands. He knows definitely what he's talking about. He's involved in marketing, manufacturing, all M's.
The perfect guy.
The perfect guy to answer this question.
I've worn many hats.
Knows
for sure.
everyone.
Yeah.
Kicks around lots of people who don't align because of shortcuts.
For sure.
So TJ, what's your thing about amino spiking?
So it's funny in talking about this, because this was kind of a thing probably 10 years ago in the US. A lot of brands were taking shortcuts because at that time, and even today, amino acids as a powder are cheaper per gram than a gram of whey concentrate or certainly a gram of whey isolate. So a lot of brands, in order to lower their price, were saying they were taking, let's say it's a 30-gram scoop of protein. And instead of putting 30 grams of whey concentrate, WPC 80 or WPI 90 or 93, which yields a certain amount of protein. To give you an example, WPC 80 on a 30-gram scoop of protein yields about 24 grams of protein. But companies that amino spike were saying, you know what? If we put 7 grams of aminos instead of 7 grams of whey protein concentrate or isolate, we'll save 33% on cost of goods. And if somebody tests the product, it will nitrogen test as if it's real protein. So the problem with that, of course, is these competitors, and they've been competitors of mine too. And I'm not going to mention names. I used to deal with this all the time where retailers are like, well, so-and-so, their protein is $10 cheaper than yours. I'm like, that's not possible. You can't, I know how much the raw material costs are. I know what WPCA 80 and WPC 90 or WPI 90, WPI 93, I know what that costs. So by knowing the cost, I'm like, it's physically impossible to build a product with real protein and have it sold that cheap. So the problem is, unless there's good regulatory bodies that stand around manufacturing like there are in the US. So the US has come a long way. Like US brands now, because it happened 10 years ago, most manufacturers, if not all, the reputable manufacturers won't even supplement a protein with amino acids for that very reason.
Actually, I've been witness on those because I've seen as a exclusive distributor of several brands. I also have third-party testing that I ask for certain type of documents that come with the brand.
That's right.
That's not off the shelves that offer you great pricing and great support without really seeing the actual product that's tested.
That's right.
We want something that's, because as you know, you ship the product across the Philippines from the US, then you sold to different kinds of consumers, then you as an owner, you don't know what's inside the
No, for sure. That's
So it's
it's tough. It's tough as a retailer. You have to put your trust in the brands.
Yeah,
at the
me,
end
it's
of the
like
day.
you feeding your kids with you don't know what's inside the food, right? It's like you won't do that.
No way. My wife definitely won't do that. I mean, she buys like super organic this and organic that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I think amino spiking, unfortunately, it's easy if people test the product to find out if it's been spiked. There's certain amino acids that that are really cheap that some manufacturers use. Glycine is one of them. There's a few.
I think
others.
I've heard that before, that there's also human hair.
Yeah. I mean, anything's possible because, I mean, if you think about it,
Anything that they can source protein.
yeah, anything that tests that you can do a nitrogen test and it will yield, because that's all a protein test is. It tests for nitrogen, protein nitrogen. So when you think about it, amino acid, unless you're testing specifically for certain heightened levels of certain amino acids, if you're just testing the nitrogen on a scoop of protein, it will test out the same either way. So you almost have to you have to test for specific amino acids that a lot of kind of dirty manufacturers use
Yeah.
to determine if a product's been compromised.
Yeah, even me, I'll just put this in Tagalog. Even Whey King Nation dito, yung mga specific brands, we have specific brands that hindi pa nahuhuli. They're not yet caught. There are certain that can be caught, but that the level of testing is not yet in par with the ones internationally. So they cannot really specifically
Test for those
yeah, and
things.
people here who does that cannot be liable or cannot be right. In the US, there are brands that are in jail, right?
Oh, for
Because of
sure.
the
Without a doubt.
shortcut.
Yeah.
Here, they can get away with those kind of activities because there's no regulatory board that does that.
You ever heard the expression, if it's too cheap or if it's too good to believe, it's probably not believable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The reality is, if a protein you see is cheaper, if it's the same amount of protein and it's $10 cheaper or $15 cheaper, there's probably
something in
something is wrong there.
Something fishy
is
in
wrong
there.
Exactly right. So as a consumer, that's what I would look out for.
Yeah, and Whey King Nation, just a real talk. We've been talking about this not just this year. We've been talking about this. Actually, matagal na namin to sinasabi, like a few years back, right? When you look for protein, you don't just look for like protein ingredients and the grams. Obviously, we do not. That's why, as you can see sa Whey King, we do not have several brands that majority. We certainly handpick one of those. It's like it's like fruits. We handpick fruits that needs and what we want our consumers to feed. It's not really what our pockets need, but
Right.
what our consumers need. Because me personally, this is not really. I don't see Whey King as a parang. It's like a money. It's not really what I wanted and what you wanted as a brand is really the value. We feed athletes. So as you know, in Olympics, we want certain athletes to go for gold so they can perform better. We do not want to take advantage of those kind of athletes and feed them garbage. In short, sa Whey King Nation, ayaw namin bigyan ng basura yung mga athletes dito. We want Filipino athletes to excel. We want them to be in par or even way better than what the global athletes take.
Sure.
So it's really more of that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's people that get into this industry from the brand side and the manufacturing side that are that don't really have the same, like if you got into this industry because of the money, a money grab, if you're a brand that's looking at, okay, I'm only in this because I've heard that making a pre-workout is pretty lucrative or protein is pretty lucrative. Those types of individuals, they don't look at their business and their brand the same way we look at our business and brand. Like my success, it has always been when I've gotten hundreds of emails from people that say, you know what, I've been like, when we started ProSeps, I used to love getting I got emails from like celebrities, from like random people were like drummers for rock bands who were saying, dude, I changed my life. This product totally changed my life. I'm like, man, that is so rewarding. You know what I mean?
It's a very fulfilling privilege.
Yeah,
You know?
and it had nothing to do with the dollars or cents I was making on the product. It was the fact that these people are saying, you know what, your products have changed. They've made not just my physical life better, but my family, my relationships better because I'm fit. My time with my kids is better because I'm fit and I can run around with them. Like that's the stuff.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that just is so meaningful, you know? And again, not everybody's like that, right? I mean, there's people that are running very successful, credible sports nutrition brands that probably don't have that same touch point that I think we have with our customers and our consumers and our fans and everything else. But you know, I think for us, my purpose will always be to continue to help help people improve, right?
For sure.
And then, you know, it comes down to products, right? And it comes down to, like you said earlier about, you know, US brands, you know, with Rise in particular. Rise has always been, same with ProSups, building, you know, best in class products from day one. No compromising.
That's why we're not cheap.
And that's why Rise isn't cheap.
That's why in Tagalog, hindi namin kaya dayain yung price because we do not want to compromise the quality.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, at the end of the day,
quality comes with the price.
If someone's consuming amino spike proteins, they're getting probably 40%, 50% sometimes less than what they could be getting. What's that going to do to their performance?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they're not going to they might save $10 now, but their gains, if they truly want to either gain lean muscle mass or put on size or, you know, increase their 40 times or do all these different things that where performance matters, taking a compromised product is not going to get you there.
That's why our boy Justin yesterday said a good quote on buying things. He said on the last podcast that buy nice so you don't have to buy twice.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. No, and I'll tell you, Rise is a brand. I've been working on the international side with Rise now for about 6 months. Obviously, Nick and I work closely together on the domestic stuff. You know, Walmart and Vitamin Shop, and the brand has just taken off like a rocket. But internationally, every market I go into, Rise is probably one of the most expensive brands to purchase, without a doubt. And you know what I say to everybody? Try it. You know, not just to the retailer, consumer. I know we're more expensive protein. I know we're more expensive pre-workout. Godzilla is possibly the most expensive pre-workout in any market that I've sold into. Yeah. But when people try it and they look at just the core foundation of that product, the citrulline that, you know, it's super stacked with all the real performance ingredients, they don't go back. Like once you're used to taking a premium product like that and you've watched your body respond, you don't go back. You just don't. You just don't. You just don't.
Yeah, you just once you go this level, you don't go down.
You don't. You just
even before this amino spike thing, years ago we were mentioning about the quality of each brands that Whey King is distributing.
Yes.
Let's say you don't have to look, as you said kanina, hindi mo kailangan tumingin lang sa number of grams of protein, but the bioavailability.
Yeah, bioavailability is important.
Yes. And then the ingredients especially. Mm-hmm. So here at Whey King, yun na yung trabaho ng Whey King. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-isip pa kasi before namin i-distribute or ilagay sa market, nagawa na namin yung trabaho namin. Lahat ng brands na nandito, cleared na kung ano, parang you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, you can give us your trust. Mm-hmm. Because you know that we will not fail you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing that's
great
about...
We've been doing this for a long time already and we know our stuff.
That's what's great about Whey King. I mean, partnering with you, Nigel, not just as a partner and we see eye to eye on so many different things. But I know that every brand that I've ever had a responsibility for, that whether building it in the U.S. or building it internationally, I know that the environment that Whey King has created for the brands I've been involved with is top notch. I know that the consumers walking in these stores know that everything that you carry on the shelf comes with not just a seal of approval, but trust. Like you've done you've done the research. You've done what you've needed to do to bring in the right types of products.
Yeah, and you know personally that I decline brands, right?
Left and right.
Yeah.
It's funny. Him going to the Olympia, there's all these brands in the US chasing him around for like taking him to dinner, taking him to lunch. Where's Nigel? Where's Nigel? And I'm like, la 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 la. I'm not telling anyone where Nigel is. I keep it a secret.
So lastly, Whey King Nation, we're not speaking of this as a consumer only. We are an athlete too. TJ is a bodybuilder. He's been in the fitness for a long time. His lifestyle is really putting in the work.
7 days a week, man.
7 days a week, working out.
Still, 7 days a
Till
week.
now, how old are you now?
54.
54, and he's still on diet.
Yeah.
He loves inasal, of course.
Yeah, I like French fries too.
Yeah, French fries.
Yeah,
He
I
loves.
like French fries.
Yeah, and Aris, obviously, kung di nyo alam, he's a physique competitor. He's also a coach. Me, I'm just a normal triathlete, but I try to do
Nothing
things on
normal.
endurance. So,
Man.
obviously, we are circled in a well-rounded group of athletes who want the best for the industry. Yeah, basically, yeah.
If I'm choosing a brand, obviously I will use it. So I have to know it
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
So I can trust the brand. So I can introduce it to my friends, to my
Right.
family.
Of course.
And that's most important here in Whey King, that we know our brand well. We know our brands well.
Basically, my last tip for amino spiking is basically Whey King is not really concerned because we do since day one we did not compromise quality and we never will, and that's why I can sleep at night
Yeah,
knowing
of
that I
course.
did not fool any people. We do
No
not
cheating involved.
hindi, in Tagalog hindi natin dinadaya yung mga tao na dahil gusto nating kumita nor mag-iba. Yung iba, ito real talk lang yung iba nagyayabang sa social media. Pero puro wala namang laman yung binibigay, then sila pa yung nagagalit kung bakit sila nababash. It's not really our concern because nakakahiya siya actually. Actually, we cannot tolerate those kind of activities here in Whey King. Even if the people closest to us, I decline, I shut them down kapag alam nating hindi talaga gumagana. Yung kumbaga pangit and basura, we do not want that. Yeah.
Tama nga yung sinabi ni TJ kanina if you remember. How can you sell a product how can you sell a product, protein specifically, if you know how much are the raw materials? How can you sell it cheap if you know how much the raw materials are?
So, I mean, I could tell you any protein that is worth what they say, if it's quality, meaning
say the
quality
price.
brand. Yeah. I mean, it's not the raw material costs on protein are what they are. It's a commodity product. Like it is there's companies that lock in annual contracts on WPC 80, WPI 90, 93, even down to WPC 70, 65, 50, which is like a creamer. So these are all commodity products. They fluctuate to a certain degree, but you can build out your cost if you know the cost of the actual protein. Well, again, back to the amino spiking thing, brands that are cutting their protein with other things other than protein. Fillers, maltodextrin used to be a popular filler, very cheap. Maltodextrin, very cheap. Amino acids, very cheap. Specific ones, glycine. There's a few others that are very cheap. You can make a product if you don't have any ethics.
Even
morals.
dog protein, the one used for dog food.
Bro, you can
Multiple
Any type
Man,
of
you
kind
can
of
make,
protein.
there's a creamer, which is a lot of manufacturers use, is a low grade, super low grade whey product that you can buy cheap. But unless it's, again, in the US, the prominent brands, the ones that he carries, they're so far beyond that. They're so far beyond like even meddling with, that's why like Rise, ProSups, some of the other brands that I've seen you carry, these are brands that are like, look, we're building a quality product. Here's the cost. It's a fair price for what real protein costs. And you guys can feel really good at night or really good during the day when people come in your stores that they're getting a product that is what it says it is on the label. That's the most important
you know
thing.
what? Filipino consumers really... I had this in an old video. I think Whey King Nation, pwede nyo i-check yung mga luma nating content. I've said it a lot of times that here in the market, majority, real talk. People say it's quality just because of taste. But just because it's delicious doesn't mean it's quality. Just means it's masarap. Masarap is delicious, yummy in Tagalog.
Flavor is the cheapest thing. So if you look at the ingredients, flavor on protein is it's an expensive component to the protein, but flavor is not what drives the cost of protein.
Even the results.
It's the actual protein and the results. Just because it tastes good doesn't mean some of the best proteins you'll ever try are weight gainer garbage proteins. They taste they taste like cake batter.
That's why I tell consumers, if you wanna I'm not saying the best tasting products are the ones with no quality, but what we're saying is if you judge sports nutrition in terms of taste alone, then they're saying it's 100% quality. You're clearly in the wrong picture. You just buy to the grocery
for sure
chocolate milkshake there. That's really delicious.
Exactly. If it's delicious, it contains more sugar.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Maltodextrin has that's sugar. Just sugar. Of course, anything
that's why I don't want to name names, but I've seen several brands here international that are like, it's too good to be true, you know.
Of course.
At Whey King Nation, isang tingin ko pa lang, sabi ko parang masyadong, this is unreal.
Yeah.
The price they sell it, the freebies that comes with it, the free shipping that comes with it, come on, it's not, parang,
if people
it's
really
not
knew,
real.
if the consumers really knew that what they were buying was nothing more than sugar in a bag or sugar in a bottle or aminos in a bottle that they could have paid half price for, if they really knew that, they would buy real protein, because at the end of the day, you talked about bioavailability.
Yes.
Like you'd have to buy 3 times the amount of that garbage protein to equate to like one,
just to get the real
get one quality, like literally. So you're spending, even if you save 10 or 15 bucks, you have to buy 3 of those products to get the same yield as you would if you bought a Rise product or a ProSips product, right?
You can buy a box.
You have to.
And the time,
1/4 of the original price.
And the time and effort you've spent on those cannot be replaced.
No, exactly.
And you're clearly wasting your
wasting
time.
a lot of things.
Without a doubt.
Okay, TJ. So no, kidding.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice to young people who wants to enter this influencing business or industry?
I have some really good insight on that. And it's only because I've seen, like you have the best insight when you watch some people do it and fail and watch other people do it and succeed. I would say this, I used to think it had everything to do with how ripped you were, how like jacked you were, especially on the fitness side. The most successful influencers that I've seen continue to perpetuate not just social influence, but be able to monetize it with brands like Rise or with ProSips or other brands, is influencers that find out, they kind of peel back the onion on themselves and say, what about me is unique? What do I like, right? And I'm going to post a lot about that. So like, some influencers have been hugely successful talking about, whether, again, fitness tips are like, everyone's done that, right? Yeah. But some people are into cooking. Some people are into, they've got a skateboard. They're really good at skateboarding, and they are showing these different tricks on skateboarding or jujitsu. Or I think it's really finding what really is what you're passionate about and post about it.
What makes you different from other people? Yeah.
So I think that's what makes you different. Like on the fitness influence side, I think you have to find, if you're trying to really communicate to a fitness community, you can't just think posting about diet tips and fitness tips is going to do it, because that audience is pretty much gobbled up. Like there's fragments of that, but you've got to be able to communicate it in a way that's unique to you, because people will eventually find out if you're posting something that isn't unique to your personality, it's never going to stick. You got to find out something, whether whether a sarcastic sense of humor, or, maybe like Joey Swoll, who's actually used to be a partner in Rise. He used to be a big fitness influencer, did a bunch of stuff fitness wise, and then found his niche doing, there was bullying. I don't know if you follow him.
Yes, I know.
But he said, and he's always been, I've known him for a while. He's always been an anti-bully kind of guy. But he said, you know what? That's going to be my niche. That's going to be my pivot. And he has gone viral really getting and reposting kind of, trying to really crush the whole gym bullying concept, and it's worked.
That's how he connected with his followers.
Yeah, and he's reconnected with new followers, right?
Because of that.
I mean, I think that's just finding a something that you're passionate about, whether it's a cause, whether it's a skill set, and just figure out a way to make it interesting and entertaining to the audience.
Everyone's doing the same thing.
Right.
I mean, you and I can do bicep curls and then post it online, and then
yeah. I mean, come on.
There's nothing new.
There's nothing unique.
But he found his niche, yes.
Right. Found something that he that drives him or hits him here.
It's like for you to be an influencer, you have to be an entertainer also.
You do to a certain degree, And I would tell you this, man, it is a full-time job. Like, I do not envy, obviously Noel Diesel, he's our partner at Rise. He's Nick's partner at Rise. He has been doing creative stuff for years, and he's constantly doing new and different stuff. I mean, if you look at his content 4 years ago compared to what it is now, it's different.
You see the progression.
Yeah, but the one thing that is core, and it continues to, you'll see it in all of his content, is he's a very real guy. Like, his messaging oftentimes is so simple. It's like, hey bros, today's going to be a better day. Like, something just simple like that. But because it comes from him, and because he has a history of communicating that same kind of heartfelt messaging, people follow him, and he gains followers because they like that type of content, So I think it's really, as an influencer, finding something that you're passionate about, that you can pour your heart into, and figure out an entertaining way to post about it.
Because if I'm watching you and I see some similarities, then it's a way of, what do you call that? It's a way of idolizing.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're doing the same thing, I think I need to do that because I'm like him, then.
But if that's not who you are,
yes.
If that's not who you are, then your audience, how small or how big it is, isn't going to believe it.
Yes.
So you got to figure out what's really, how am I going to connect in a special way with not just my audience today, because ultimately, if you want to be a fitness influencer, you got to grow. You have to scale. What videos am I going to shoot? How am I going to build my YouTube presence, right? Like TikTok platforms, all these different things. There's things you can do, and you can take little bits and pieces of content from other people that work. But if it doesn't come authentically from you, it won't last. It won't stick. No.
Yeah, if you ask me, I only have 2 tips for like athletes or people who want to influence or post a content. Number 1 is being authentic. Number 2 is like, do not pretend to be. It's like connected to authentic. Do not pretend to be someone or bash a certain people just to get traction for yourself.
Yeah, right.
I've seen that with several kinds of coaches internationally and local that try to bash certain types of people just so they can get a certain attention.
That attention.
Oh, for sure.
From other people, which they think that gains more traction. But you gain more followers because they try to respond. They try to get in the mind games with the followers. But the real followers who buy, who thinks, who's smart, we really know that you're just a low level. Like, you don't really know what you want. You're just trying to ride the boat whenever someone has the momentum. Yeah.
And I would say, as a brand, because I've hired a bunch of influencers in all the brands I've been involved with, most brands now are looking for something really unique. A good-looking face and a good-looking body. I hate to say it, but they're a dime a dozen. They're a dime a dozen.
No, let me just put in a fact, Whey King Nation. TJ has worked with, I can name a few, like DJ
Khaled.
DJ Khaled. If obviously kilala nyo yun. DJ Khaled. UFC's Kamaru Usman. Name a few.
Patty Pimblett. Nick Jonas, if you know who Nick Jonas is. Joe Jonas, Nick Jonas. I've worked with celebrities, athletes, musicians.
NFL players.
Tons of NFL players.
Ton of NFL.
And even all of those that I've had a chance to work with, which have been, for the most part, great experiences. It's always been about, how can I, as a brand owner, how can I use their personality and their authenticity to help me grow my brand? So it's not just about how they look. It has to be about how can I connect their message and who they are with what I'm doing as a brand, right? And that's I think influencers, a lot of times they have to think first about, if they want to monetize and really make a living being an influencer, authenticity is key.
Yeah, for sure.
Authenticity is key. You know, people can say what they want about DJ Khaled. That dude is as authentic as they come. Like what you see is what you get. And I promise you, what you see in his content is every bit of what I got when I worked with him in person. And he's he's one of many that I had a chance to work with. But it's all about that same, like, you know, you work with, you know, some really high or highly influential people. It's not about just, you know, writing them a big check. It's like, as a brand owner, you look at, okay, how is this going to work? Because a face, you know, just having a face or a name attached to the brand, it doesn't connect. The consumers can see right past it. You know what I mean? So
people are smart, you know. They know what you're really talking about, especially the one who knows their thing.
For sure. If you're a brand owner and you just have a hired gun that's a paid for post person, consumers see right through that crap. Mm-hmm. They see right through that crap now.
It's more on the real life video taking a post rather than just pictures holding a brand.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything nowadays.
Nothing.
You have to show that you're really using it, that you're really wearing it or whatnot, so that the people following you would feel the same.
And you know what's funny? So Conor McGregor is a good example because Nick signed Conor years ago, Conor McGregor. When Conor was a lot smaller, not physically, maybe physically, but smaller as a person, as an influencer, if you want to call it that, or athlete than he is right now. But if you look at what Conor's doing now with his beer brand, it's called Forged Stout. Alcohol is a part of his lifestyle. He's got an Irish whiskey. And the reason those partnerships work is because consumers, not just his followers, but consumers. So as a brand owner, if I own Forged Stout, I'd say, you know what? That's believable. I'm going to sign Conor because it's an Irish stout. He drinks. He loves to drink. It makes sense. So not only his followers, but I can market the authentic connection to consumers all around the globe, and it's believable. So that's the biggest thing is, you know, when you're an influencer and you want to monetize your influence, you've got to figure out, okay, who am I? Like, and what brand? That's the other thing. I used to get emails. You probably get a lot of these emails too.
No, just to give you a quick story. Just to give you like the feeling of being authentic.
Yeah.
I'll explain it in English, but I'll start it maybe Taglish. Whey King Nation, we have, as you can see, they're in the world of, basically, let's get back to supplements.
Yeah.
In the world of supplements, ang dami yung nakikitang celebrities that post that they have the product, but they endorse a certain brand that we do not carry, but yet we see their drivers, we see their people who work with them buy products from us that clearly they use it, but they endorse a different
for
one.
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously,
that
why?
Happens a lot
but
too.
Yung nakikita yun, it's because they know that they don't trust, or they just post the product just for
what? It's a paycheck.
It's
a paycheck.
Yeah, but what their personal use products are really being bought from us.
Dude, it's so funny you say that. When I was running,
I've seen tons of those.
Listen, man.
Tons, madami.
ProSups, Rise, we have those two brands have both benefited from other athletes, other high name, big name influencers and athletes that are posting about other brands, ordering, paying for Rise products and ProSups products. Like I've seen the shipment details. I'm like, wow. So hey, look, I get it. I guess, you know, a paycheck's a paycheck, but again, as a consumer and as a brand owner,
it hurts the brand owner that pays them, right? That
their
ambassador doesn't.
Of course, but
that's
you know
why.
what? Shame on them. That's why it has to work. There's got to be a real connection. Forged Stout and Conor, you know, that works. Khaled had a deal with it was Weight Watchers at the time, and they were paying him to lose a bunch of weight, and he lost the weight. That worked. That partnership blew up. They had more Weight Watchers sold memberships and products when he was doing that than ever before, because that works, right?
That's why Whey King Nation, if you ask me how do we get influencers, ambassadors in Whey King, or even a certain brand or company we work with, you must be a buyer of those. You must support it before you were sponsored for it.
Yeah.
Because you know you are aligned with what we stand for.
Right.
You know the product very well because you've done it. You know, out of the box, we do not. In short, we are not scripted. We know our thing. You know your thing.
Yeah.
You've used in the product. I've seen it. So
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I think there's a lot of great brands out there, a lot of great products.
we
Fortunately,
talk about great products that we aren't sponsored.
for sure.
We use it because in short, Waking Nation, we patronize products that we, even if hindi siya bayad, it's not given to us. If it's nice, if it's great. Just a while ago, right? We were talking about a certain drink that he's done great, right? Even if he's like...
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I love great products that are done by great companies with great branding. I love that. I think I applaud that all day long, even if they're competitors of mine.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of respect for people that do it right.
Yeah.
So TJ, it's me again. Okay, so there are many companies that wants to partner up with you, I guess. But why did you choose Whey King as your exclusive distributor?
So it goes way back. When I met Nigel and Bet the first time at the Olympian, I was the founder and CEO of ProSubs at the time. And having met Nigel and having talked to Nigel about his business philosophy and what he was doing with Whey King at the time, the educational piece, the cultural piece, just the other brands. I also looked at the other brands that he was carrying at the time. But beyond that, and I've said this earlier, I've always picked people, individuals, human beings that I align with morally, ethically, as my partners. Because if you don't align there, when the business gets tough, because it sometimes gets tough, you want to be able to know that the person you're working with shares those same values. You know what I mean?
How did you meet Nigel?
It was at the Olympia.
I've met TJ in Olympia.
At the Olympia trade show, like
Olympia
probably
trade show.
10 years of...
2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, probably 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah, 7, 8 years ago.
7-8 years ago. I met him through Fern. Fern is one of the international guys we work with.
Yep.
And Ike. Yeah, obviously they're a family there. In ProSubs kasi before is...
We always had this...
Pamilya
really-
sila eh. They're not really... If you see TJ as a CEO, the other is a vice president. When you see them talk or pag nakita nyo sila nag-usap, it's
We're like brothers.
they're brothers.
We're like brothers.
They're like throwing away piece of paper to each other. It's like Waking Nation para kayo may barkada na nasa loob ng ano.
Yeah.
When you talk to them in the meeting room, they don't talk about executive or whatever. They just tell you, what's your drink? Let's talk about this one. Then let's have lunch.
That's
So
the way
it's
to
more
do
of-
it.
It's more of a great family that you work with. And of course, I was aligned with... actually, Fabiano also introduced me to Fern and the
Yeah,
others.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true.
A good friend of mine,
Small
Michael
world.
Fabiano,
Yeah.
introduced us to them. Then, we were like, actually, inulan kami ng meetings noon, but we wanted to meet the ProSubs team as well because we were a good fan of what they do.
Yeah.
At that time, My Bar was released, right?
We had so many things going at the time, but we needed a good partner, a lot of partners here in Asia, throughout Asia, where we were not super strong yet. And I think Nigel might have been our first partner out here.
No, you had your first one.
Okay, in China.
No, here, you had your first, then
Oh,
you
that's
moved.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
That guy probably wasn't very happy. But
Oh, yeah.
But again, I think it was the connection that Nigel and I made personally that really made me realize that that's the direction we needed to go. And of course, me being at Rise now, right when I started doing international, I'm like, and you had brought in some Rise earlier on.
Before, yeah.
But I think we've renewed that partnership and we'll be able to do even bigger things. So it's exciting.
So that's how it started.
That's how it started in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but a lot of brands wanna work with us, but I personally select, and I actually Waking Nation sobra ako mapili pagdating sa brands because I'm personally very particular with the things I own and the things I feed our customers, our communities. We want something that what my families can take greatly, confidently take in store, then put it at home, then drink it without me complaining. So that's something I stand for since 2010. Something that we built with TJ and I and Bet, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
TJ,
Yes.
3 words that you can say about Whey King.
About Whey King?
3 words.
About Whey
words.
King, yeah. Just 3 words.
Quality, trust, morals.
Tapos ang usapan, Whey King Nation.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Nigel?
Ditto. Same. Nigel, for being so far, we live so far away, but he's such a great friend. He is, because I've been involved in a variety of different brands, and anytime, I've reached out to Nigel and said, "Hey, can we do?" He and I we're long distance brothers. We're long distance brothers from another mother, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, this is authentic Whey King Nation. This is not scripted.
Yeah.
If you've seen our IG messages, it's like back and forth. I repost one of his quotes and he responds to my achievements. Yeah.
It's been a really incredible relationship for sure. And you meet a lot of people, in my business, in your business as well, but my travels and I've been in business a long time for myself. I meet a lot of people, and there are very few people that I can call,
connect
close.
With, connect with.
Yeah, it's just all around. Like Nigel's, his relationships, his family, he's a father now, and just really. And I have 6 kids, so I know how tough that is. So, yeah.
So this relationship, as you said earlier, is not just transactional, but more on
family.
Family.
Yeah, family. When I meet him, we have we talk about things. We have lunch, dinner.
Yeah. It's funny. We get on the number of hours, which probably we've been together like 20 hours now. We've probably spent 10 minutes talking about business.
Yeah. It's not.
It's just too easy. It's very fun when you can work with people that you can call family. It's very rare.
That's good.
Too.
That's good.
So it's nice.
Lastly, last topic. How do you balance such activities, being a brand builder?
Yeah.
An entrepreneur? Obviously, we can't name businesses that you are involved for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Your investments, or being a father of 6, and traveling. Obviously, you're now in the Philippines, and you will be by tomorrow. You'll be in Thailand, and the next day you'll
South
be
Korea.
South Korea.
Yeah.
So, how do you balance those things with family and being?
It's on camera. Go.
What's that?
It's on camera. So go.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
Okay na yun. Yun yung question. Oh, that's the question.
Oh, that's the question. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not
It's on
scripted.
camera.
So
It's on camera.
here's the answer. There's 24 hours in a day, and I would tell you, it's not an easy answer. I think a lot of people think, when I say it's not an easy, it's tough being a good dad, a good husband, a good CEO, a good brand builder, a good partner, internationally when you're traveling. I've got numerous international partners. It's tough to balance it all. I think the biggest thing I would say, if I had to give like a one sentence or paragraph tip, would be, you have 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep some of those hours to stay healthy. The rest of those hours, I think you have to look at, and every part of your life takes a different level of commitment. What I mean by that is, there's times in my life as an entrepreneur where I had to sacrifice some time with my wife and my family in order to invest in my business. And I think the biggest thing there is really just giving my family an opportunity to communicate with me on a regular basis when I'm traveling. Zoom calls, phone calls. I try to stay as close to touch to them as I can when I'm traveling, and then vice versa. Like when I'm at home with them, it's being available to my partners or my customers or even people that follow me on Instagram. Like I have to answer DMs at times too, right? But it's trying to just balance all of it is tough. But I think you just have to. Communication is really important when you're trying to do that with family and travel and everything else, especially with business. If you work long hours, if you don't travel that much, but you're in the office 12 hours a day, I think it's what you do with the other 6 or 8 hours when you're not sleeping that matter, right? And so when you are at home, when you're working 12 hours a day and you're at home, put that phone in the closet. Give that time to your family, right? Or give that time to your wife if you don't have kids yet, right? It's about really just being present in those very particular times of the day that you're having to give 100%, right? That's what I would say.
It's really up to you how you manage your time.
It is. And look, I think a lot of people, I think probably early on, I might not have been great at it. I think I had to learn. Like, okay, look, man, when you're at home, you just came back from China after being in China for 2 weeks. You're at home now for 2 weeks. you go to, make sure you're at your son's football practices, make sure you're taking them to school, like be present, right? For your employees, when you're out doing your thing, but your team has you for 20 minutes, be present for that 20 minutes. Open your ears, open your eyes, put the phone down, zip the mouth, let them talk, let them voice their concerns, right? I think those are very important things. The
littlest things are the most important, the ones.
Yep.
But for me, if my advice I've learned, I only have 4 F that I follow. Finance, fitness, family, and friends. If you do not belong on those 4, close friends, everything else is a distraction. It's just noise. I only follow those 4 Fs. Basically that's are my key priorities in life.
Yeah, and that's a good way to keep it organized. You know?
Anything that pass below that is just you're not really my priority.
Yep.
How about you?
For me, managing your time.
Yeah.
Because as you said, you only have 24 hours a day and you need to sleep.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the gym for 12 hours and then I go home, I only have 2 hours to take care of my pets since I don't have children or wife.
Yeah.
And then also I am doing trading.
Yeah.
So how do I manage my time? So at the end of the day, it's still up to you.
I think most people, where most people slip is they try to give, they break their time up, but they don't fully invest in that particular moment with that particular audience, whether it's their business or their family. They try to do a little bit of everything throughout the day. And what that winds up doing is really not giving everything you have into that one particular thing. You wind up diluting your effort down because you're not committing yourself to investing 100% of your time with your family for these 2 hours a day.
And 2 hours a day, just leave your phone outside.
Just say, I'm going to take the kids out. I'm going to go swimming with them. I'm going to go throw the ball around.
So that you're not distracted.
So you're not distracted.
And then you have your own time for other things.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so Whey King Nation, I hope na enjoy nyo naman yung ating conversation with our special guest.
Thanks for having
me. Mr. TJ. And then, ang dami natin na pag-usapan, ang dami nating insights, ang dami natin clarifications, especially about the quality of the brand. And also, the important one is, we introduced the brand, I think, well enough. And...
actually, it's a nice podcast, and it's been our pleasure to welcome you here in the Philippines.
Loved it. I've loved it.
Yeah. So,
until next time. Hopefully, it won't be a year. I'll come out here soon. Again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'll see you again in 2 months.
That's right. Olympia bound. Thanks.
Are you going to the States?
Di pa sure.
For the May Olympia? There's Olympia now?
Yeah.
It's in Vegas too. They have it either in Vegas or Orlando, but they're going back to Vegas this year, which is way better.
Okay, Whey King Nation, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and other social media. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace.